Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this special edition of Tort Center's Outside the Lines, Inside the Outlines, brought to you in part by Barbary. As always, I'm your host, Bob Lee. Today we bring you a salacious tale of scandal and fraud. We show you the underground of America's law schools, we uncrack the rumor of performance-enhancing outlines, we get to the heart of this clandestine machine. Performance-enhancing outlines, or PEOs as they have been known in the law school lingo, have existed for years, a sort of tradition, each class passing on their outline treasures to the class below. However, these traditions went unnoticed for years until Professor Eckhart's now famous report detailed the abuses. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here in the illustrious hallway of the University of Missouri-Kansas City School of Law. The atmosphere is filled with the sound of rustling papers, and the smell of Waldo pizza is thick in the air. As you walk through the hallway of UMKC Law, you'll take notice of the portrait of every law school graduate. The question you need to ask yourself is, which graduates' pictures would be missing without PEOs? While on our way into the law school, we ran into what appeared to be an indigent man sitting on a bench near the law school entrance. He fit the description of a typical PEO user.
That rush of walking up a final without ever reading a single class all semester, man, that's amazing. This is legal stuff. I'm not breaking the honor code here. Every time you do it, you know there's a risk. It's totally worth it though.
You know, maybe it is a risk. One day Burma can come calling with some honor code violation, but right now it's not, and I'm gonna keep doing it. You know, it's kind of scary. When Chris Kobach loses his re-election bid, has to come back here and teach. You know, 1Ls are gonna have an outline ready to go for his class from day one.
Later on, we caught up with one of law school's highest-ranked 2Ls, a man obviously torn between the harsh truth of reality and the denials of sins past.
So, for the record, Curtis, have you ever used any commercial outlines?
No.
Canned outlines?
No.
DTP outlines?
No.
You're telling me you've never been tempted? Like, this guy's doing it, maybe it would be helpful to me?
You know, I've never felt overmatched in the intellectual department. I was in Section C after all, so no.
The use of performance-enhancing outlines is so rampant that every single section has at least one person using performance-enhancing outlines. What's your reaction to that?
You know, you hear a lot of things. I mean, when I came into the game in 2009, I heard whispers from 2Ls and 3Ls, but I never saw anything. Never saw any raw evidence. In the years 2009 and 2010, I experimented with banned outlines that eventually triggered a positive test. In the days ahead, I know people are going to debate my past with various opinions, and people are going to talk about my future like it's already been determined. I apologize to my classmates, teachers, and friends, and thank those who have stayed with me during this difficult time. In closing, one thing that I know for sure is that law school is bigger than Curtis Moore. Thank you.
But do these outlines cross ethical lines? And do they raise honor code issues? For some, they are an invaluable building block to recover from missed classes.
I never did it to get ahead, but, you know, first semester, second year, I got a D and had a serious rank injury. You know, I had to use the performance-enhancing outlines just to recover from that rank injury. So I'd never really thought about it, but my office mate kept pushing and pushing and pushing. You know, I don't want to name names, but Curtis Moore, just push it all the time.
I always hit up with my American friends and just begging for outlines. Without that, I cannot succeed in law school.
Yet no one will doubt the increasing tension that surrounds this controversy. Matt, you're aware that there's a pending resolution in front of the SBA that would make the transmission or receipt of PEOs an honor code violation. What do you think about that?
I wasn't aware of that, Bob. The way I see it, half the SBA board is some of the biggest users around. I can't see them letting that resolution pass. And if they did, the widespread nature of PEOs, I think half the student body would be gone. And even if it does pass, I mean, I'm graduating. They can't touch me. I'll be out of their jurisdiction.
I'm telling you, they're all over the place nowadays. I mean, you got kids going to high school who've been using PEO since high school. I didn't get my first taste until I was in law school. I mean, look at this guy. He's doing it right out in the open. Kids these days, they don't have any shame.
I'm Bob Lee. We're doing a special telecast for Outside the Lines on PEOs. Would you care to comment?
No comment.
I just remember sitting in class one day and Professor Ochtenberg said, don't look inside the book, look inside your head. And I looked inside my head, Bob, and there just wasn't anything there. And so I had to go to the outline. Had to. If I can't look inside a book, I'm going to look inside the outline. You know, Bob, I'm 33. I mean, law school is a young man's game. If I'm not using PEOs, I'm out of law school. And I got kids to feed, and I didn't go to law school so I could drive a Chrysler LeBaron. You know? I mean, why not? It's the way of the world, Bob. I mean, I wake up in the morning, I take Excedrin, I take Tylenol PM night, I take Viagra. Why not PEOs? No, Bob, I don't. I mean, I know you call them performance-enhancing outlines, but in my case, I think they're just outlines.
But others view them as an impermissible crutch for those who break the rules to obtain an unfair advantage.
I think PEOs are just wrong. They're an unfair advantage to the people who use them. You're supposed to be evaluated on your own ability, not by a compilation of other sources. As a 1L rep, I'm bringing forth a resolution to the SBA to make performance-enhancing outlines a violation of the Honor Code. And if that passes, anyone who has used a PEO will have an asterisk by their name on the dean's list.
As a study group leader, I think it's important to make your own outlines so that you can learn the information and organize it, and it helps you absorb it better.
Even the staff and administrators have taken notice of the impact of PEOs.
We always tell students to avoid canned outlines, that they'll rot your mind. But they told us that about sex too, so you should be immediately suspicious.
Using somebody else's outline is like expecting to get strong by watching somebody else exercise. You know, sometimes I think students think that outlines are like a crystal ball, and if they just gaze into them long enough, it'll give them the answers to everything. But what they're really like are like two lead weights. They're going to drag them down to the bottom of the ocean as they drown. What they need to do is learn to swim.
Judge not, lest ye be judged, so the Bible tells us. Yet some have already judged those unfortunate law students who have fallen from the lofty law school skies in which they flew so high. But like the mythical Icarus, their borrowed performance-enhancing wings melted under the intense law school sun. Regardless, if anything, it is easy to see the lure of PEOs. With competition fierce in the legal job market, law students will increasingly look for advantages within the letter, but perhaps not the spirit of the Honor Code. History will likely be their ultimate judge, but until that day, questions remain and controversies left to resolve. Thanks for joining us, and have a good night, everyone.